Good evening. It is good to have folks here with us. Welcome to Freedom Church of the Poor. My name is Moses Hernandez McGavin, and I use the pronouns he, him, or they, them. And I'm a minister with Freedom Church of the Poor, and I'm also the community program coordinator at Transmission Ministry Collective, which is an online community for transgender and non-binary Christians. I just wanted to open up this space tonight. I know that we are coming here with heavy hearts. I know that all of us have seen that the United States has bombed Iran last night, prompting the beginning of what is an official war. And we also know, though, that long before the US struck Iran, American-made bombs have been used for the last 2 years in the genocide in Gaza, and that the US has long been complicit, and an active perpetrator of war and of violence and of brutality across the world. And so last night's violence falls into the long history of the US trying to police the world through violence and destruction. We also heard last night, as Donald Trump delivered an address to the nation, he ended his speech by saying that, I just want to say that we love God. And he proceeded to pray that God would be with the US throughout this next stage in the war. This violent theology, this theology that twists God into some kind of evil and vindictive God, and twists it into a God that supports violence and cruelty has long been used to prop up evil systems and processes, from the genocide of Native Americans to the slavery system in the United States to the segregation of Jim Crow South, all the way up until the violence that we see and experience all around us today, cutting millions from Medicaid, legalizing the criminalization of homelessness in the US while people are dying in the streets, cutting SNAP programs, the hyper-militarization of our cities and our police forces, and more. And so this month, for Pride season, the Freedom Church of the Poor has committed to a season of examining texts of terrors that have long since been used to harm and erase the existence of transgender, non-binary, and queer people. It's this wicked theology that has attempted to tell us that things like tonight's Genesis creation story is not a story about God providing everything that humans need to be cared for and to have their needs met, but is instead about a story about how transgender and non-binary people do not exist, or that marriage is confined to one man and one woman. And this is the same theology that folks in power use to justify banning life-saving, gender-affirming care for trans and non-binary youth, and likely at one point adults on Medicaid and Medicare. And this is all the same theology that is justifying war across the world. All of these things are connected. And so as we've really taken some time to examine some of these stories throughout the season, I think one thing that we've seen time and time again is that Christian nationalists' interpretations of these stories are quite flimsy, and they're also very ahistorical. It doesn't stand on anything, and when you question it or when you investigate it, and so we must continue to change this moral narrative of who God is and who God has been and who God will continue to be. The United States has never been the beacon of freedom and opportunity that it has claimed to be. And I think Trump's reckless bombing and act of war yesterday continues to reveal that the facade of democracy that the US has long since held up has never really existed, because the system was never really built with the well-being of people in mind. But our biblical traditions show us that God created this world for us to be cared for, and not for this world to be sectioned off into pieces and to be sold for profit that only a few wealthy people could benefit from. And so we, as people of faith, must fight for the world that God wants us to have, and we must commit to reorganizing the system from the bottom up. We really have to fight to reclaim these stories, and we have to continue to come together and organize against the system that is killing all of us. And so tonight we continue to reclaim the vastness and the abundance, multiplicity in the world and in ourselves that God has provided for us tonight in this creation story. And we know that when we reclaim this vastness and possibility of who we can be and how our world can be organized, we can really declare liberation, not just for all, not just for us, but liberation for all.